They say rents are dropping in Halifax, but let me ask you this. Does it actually feel like it's getting easier to find a rental in this city? Because while most landlords are offering incentives and news headlines are claiming that the market is cooling, most people are still struggling to find something they can actually afford. So what's really going on beneath the surface? That's what I'm going to talk about in today's video. But just before I get into it, if you're new here, my name is Andrew Stevens. I've been a realtor for over 11 years now in Halifax. And if you want to be educated on the Halifax real estate market, then hit that like button and hit that subscribe button. And if you're thinking about making a move in the Halifax area and you'd like to get in touch with me, you can reach out to me anytime in the Calendly link below. So there's been a lot of stories in the news about this lately. And to be honest, yes, I am a little bit skeptical of the way that it's being conveyed. I feel like it's a little bit misleading. And the truth is, it's not all sunshine and rainbows if you're looking to find a rental in Halifax. So are rents dropping? Yes, like sort of, but it is a little bit misleading. Yes, according to CMHC, average advertised rents have dipped. Two-bedroom purpose-built rentals are down about 4.2% year over year. But here's the catch. A lot of these units being advertised are new buildings, right? We've seen 1,000 units completed in Halifax in between January and May of 2025. So there's all of a sudden all this inventory, and a lot of these are, as you know, sky high price points that they're asking for their rent. So a lot of these ones that are dropping is that product dropping. It's not necessarily the old product, because anything that's older, that's been around for a while, and maybe there's been a tenant in it on the rent cap for quite some time, those, as they're being turned over, those price points are actually going up by about 17%. And I think the rent cap is a huge reason this is happening, because if you have somebody who was in a, let's say, two-bedroom rental for $1,000 a month, or 900, or maybe 800 in some crazy cases, when the tenant leaves, the landlord is no longer bound by the rent cap, and they can go and set that rent at whatever they want. So in a lot of these cases, we're seeing huge increases when tenants leave their apartment, from maybe $1,000 a month all the way up to 17 or 1,800, for example, or something along those lines, depending on what the product and what the location is. And again, the CMHC numbers confirm this, with 17% average rental increase on product that is already turning over. So this is not really cooling as far as I'm concerned. It's more of a very harsh reality check. So yes, some rents are dropping, and that is kind of inevitable with the decrease in demand that we've been seeing. But why is this the case? So there's a few different things. We've had a huge jump in supply in between January and May this year, with about 1,000 new units completed in Halifax. And on top of that, the demand is kind of decreasing as well. We're not seeing as much migration here. We're not seeing as much immigration happening. So that is all playing a factor, right? It's simple supply and demand. So the demand is down a little bit and the supply is up a little bit. So these newer buildings, especially these new buildings, because of the price points they're asking, the demand is not really there for those units the way the developers thought it might be, or that they were hoping it would be. So now we're seeing landlords offering some incentives, gift cards, lower deposits, maybe a month free rent. And to me, this is kind of bringing me back to, I don't know, like 2014, 15 to 2018 or 19, when you looked at places like Larry Utech, for example, with all those buildings going up. And back then you could get like a, 12, 13, 1,400 square foot apartment, two bed, two bath, high end finishes. Some of them had basin views for like 12, 13, $1,400 a month. And in a lot of these cases, the developer could not rent them, and they were offering, incentives. Sometimes they were offering, another free parking spot, or they were offering 3 to 6 or even 12 months free internet. Maybe they were offering a few months free rent, or so on. So, these incentives aren't something new. They're just something that were not needed over the last, several years, because of the housing crisis that we're facing here in Halifax. So yeah, we're building a lot, but let's be honest, we're not really building a lot of the product that's really needed. So a lot of these new builds are high end, they're very expensive, they're very small square footage wise. We're not seeing a lot of 3 bed units, for example. We're seeing a lot of small 1 and 2 bed units. And in my opinion, we're not really building the supply for the demand that we're seeing, and not just in price point, but also in functionality, in finish level, and in size as well. When I'm talking about units that are affordable, I'm just talking about affordable to the masses. I'm not necessarily talking about like CMHC's definition of affordable housing. I'm talking about just affordable to a typical household here in Halifax. So If you look at the median household income here in Halifax, there's a lot of different numbers that get thrown out there, and this data is so lagging from Stats Canada. It's really, really frustrating when you're trying to make a video like this. But if I take, the few numbers that you can find online and take the average of them, most people in Halifax should be spending somewhere in the realm of about 1,700 to 2,000, maybe 2,200 on their household expenses per month if you do the math. And the point is, yes, we're seeing some price points come down, but those units are like $3,000 a month or $2,700 a month. So when you look at the affordable housing, in terms of what's affordable to the masses, those price points are starting to rise. And it's not really getting any easier to find units like this. So for reference, at the time of filming this video, if I just take a quick look on Kijiji, looking at 1-bedroom units and 2-bedroom units in Halifax, for 1-bedroom units under, let's say, 1,700 a month, there's only 76 ads available for these units, and a lot of them are pretty beat up, kind of dingy basement apartments in older homes and so on. And if I look at 2-bedroom units up to say $2,000 a month or $2,200 a month, there's only about 85 or 86 ads for those types of units. So in a city this size right now, that's not really a ton of rentals out there. And I know that's just one site, and I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole looking at a bunch of them, but I just wanted to get a rough idea of what was out there in terms of what was being advertised for rental units. So even at the median household income, and keep in mind, this is only half the population, right? So half the population is lower than this in theory. So even with the median household income, it's really hard to find a rental that you can afford or that you should be able to afford. So I think a lot of people are spending a lot more percentage-wise of their income on housing per month than they really should be. But in our city right now, with the housing crisis and the supply and demand, there's not really much option to do that otherwise, right? So the reality is, are we seeing a cooling? Maybe, but not really in the right sector of the market. So if you are the median income or lower, you're going to have a really hard time finding something that's affordable for you. And if you're, let's say, a single person on a typical income, it's going to be even harder, right? So yes, maybe we're seeing some cooling, but not in the area we need it most. And the truth is, for the area that needs it the most, for that kind of demographic, it is a very difficult thing to find in terms of a affordable rental apartment or house or whatever that looks like. So I'll ask again, is the rental market really cooling in Halifax? Well, on one hand, kind of yes, but not really as an overall perspective. So yes, some high-end units, the price points are coming down, but in a lot of existing stock, the prices are skyrocketing. We're seeing a glut of inventory, about 1,000 units coming to the market here in the last 5 or 6 months. But when you look at the real listings, a lot of it is not really affordable to the masses. The affordability crisis in Halifax isn't getting better, and in fact, it's getting worse for a lot of people. We're still seeing a ton of renovictions going on. Some of them are big buildings as well, so there's going to be a lot of displaced tenants coming from these situations. Not to mention, the rent cap is up for expiry at the end of 2025. But if I'm being honest, do I really think the province is going to remove this altogether? No, I really don't. Could they, maybe make a change? I don't know. I think they already made that change when it went from 2% to 5%, and I think that was pretty fair for all parties involved. But I think we're really, backed into a corner here now from a provincial government perspective on this rent cap, because if they remove it altogether, it could be the wild, wild west out there with a lot of people being displaced and nowhere to go based on the existing stock and the new stock that's coming to the market. If you're still here watching and you get any value out of this video, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe to my channel. And I'm curious to hear from you in the comments below. If you're looking for a rental or if you've done it recently, what was your experience like? Did it feel a little easier than it should have? Or did it just feel like the same old way it's been feeling over the last 3 to 5 years during this Halifax housing crisis? Until next time, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate your support and have a great day.